It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, and I walked into a specialty beer shop in Jupiter, Florida, and I was picking out some beers with my brother-in-law, and I saw the Bruery's Black Tuesday. Now, for you people like myself who have been in this industry or been around this industry for a long time, you'll know what that means. But if you haven't, I'm going to take you back to, once upon a time in the craft beer industry when you used to step over, not you necessarily, you're a nice person, but where many people would step over their fallen and injured grandmother to get their hands on this beer. They would sell their firstborn child to get their hands on this beer. This was on all the trading forums. Everyone wanted to get their hands on it. Everyone was just in fever to get their hands on some Black Tuesday. And I just found it in a bottle shop, and it's such a strange thing for me, even today in 2025, but this is the 2024 version, that this beer would be available at all in a situation like this. It was first released back in 2009 by the Bruery. Founded as a Belgian-inspired brewery, just like Barrel of Monks. They became known for doing all these off-the-wall, incredible, decadent beers, and Black Tuesday was like the crowning gem. Every year the ABV is a little bit different. This year was 19.7%. You heard that right. This is a bourbon barrel Imperial Stout. And there was like the trinity of beers back in the day that you could get your hands on. It was this, Dark Lord, and Kate the Great. Those were the ones that we were always after. There were other ones replaced at beers like Surly Darkness. Of course, there's other beers that were just as good and just as sought after down the line. But those are the beers we always wanted to get. And when you tried that beer for the first time, you felt like you were having a religious experience. I have this beer now for the first time in years. I have not even seen a bottle of this in a long time. And I'm here to report this beer is still absolutely phenomenal. It is decadent, it is dark, the bourbon flavor is really apparent in this beer. But as are dark chocolate, rich fig, coffee, burnt molasses. I mean, there is just a litany of flavors here, each one competing for the thing that I'm going to talk about right now. The bourbon is there. I love the charred nature of this, and there's enough sweetness to balance that out. And make no mistake about it, this beer has a significant amount of residual sweetness to it. Kind of has to at 19.7%, but it works because you have that char and that roast that just kind of combines with it to make this legendary beer, and that's what it is. The fact that the brewery is still doing this after all these years, I applaud them for doing that. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on this, don't think just because this beer is not as sought after as it once was that it's somehow not as good, because that is absolutely not the case. I still believe that all the kind of pastry stouts out there owe a lot of their legacy to this beer, because while there's not a lot of extraneous ingredients, it has those flavors. They just did it through malt. They just did it through fermentation instead of doing it by throwing a bunch of marshmallows and things like that into it. And the fever pitch of the craft beer industry to a great deal owes a debt of gratitude to the brewery in this very beer. Pairing this beer, it's difficult. It's going to dominate anything you eat with it at 19.7% and with all these flavors. I think you have to do something with spice and a lot of earthy flavors. So I'm thinking like a spicy venison stew or chili would work really well. I'm also thinking like Moroccan lamb could work really well with this, because you have something that this beer does not have. This beer has everything else, so you need something that's going to balance that out in some way, shape, or form. You absolutely compare it with the dessert. I think that's kind of going easy. You're going to just complement those flavors, and I'm sure it's going to be delicious. But do something that's going to counter some of the flavors and add some other different nuances to it if you're going to pair this thing. And listen, it's a small bottle. I know it's an expensive bottle if you do, or if you are able to find it. But this is a perfect thing to pour 4 ounces with a bunch of different friends and just kind of toast to the history of the American craft beer industry, which this beer has so much of a legacy connected to. Thank you guys very much. As always, please poke around the channel, find other videos just like this, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.